Now, the other night, I'm flipping through channels and I pass by Lifetime channel I never watch, but I stop for a few minutes because they're showing some movie starring Mario Lopez. And I haven't really seen that much of this guy over the years, but I thought, boy, this guy really looks good. He must be in his 40s, but he's still he looks very youthful, very handsome still. It's me, and I don't know anything about this guy's politics. I don't know anything about his spirituality. I don't know anything about his values. But it's kind of like maybe he's the reverse of what I talked about in that other recent video asking the question, why do ugly chicks hate God? So maybe there's something to that, but I don't know anything about this guy's belief systems, and that's good. This guy's an entertainer and he just wants people to be entertained. I wish all entertainers would stop talking about their politics and trying to force things on the rest of us and just stick to entertaining us. But I go to Twitter today, and that's not something I do often because Twitter's a cesspool. It can make you feel really bad about the world and really make you focus on the negative, and that's not going to make your life better. And originally, actually, my Twitter account, my real Twitter account, it got deleted from Twitter because what happened is, you might remember Vice put that article out where they were making a hero out of a literal child rapist because this guy's in prison for raping children, but he attacks physically, gets physically violent and attacks so-called Nazis, people that say racist things. People that use naughty words are worse than a guy that's in prison for raping children. That's the standpoint of this article. So Vice tried to make this guy, a literal child rapist, a hero, and I spoke out about it, and they said that's hateful content, so they kicked me off of Twitter. So I don't use it much. I kind of occasionally check through my wife's account, and what do I see? Well, one of the top trends was Mario Lopez, and it's like, okay, why is this guy in the news? So let's take a look. Mario Lopez calls trans children alarming. I love the picture they use. He's like, heck yeah. Here's another one. Mario Lopez slams Charlize Theron for allowing her children to switch genders. Says the trend is dangerous and alarming. So I'm seeing all these headlines, and basically they're saying Mario Lopez is both a misogynist and a transphobe. They're attaching these labels to him to slander him. Let's take a look at what he said. Apparently, he did a interview with Candace Owens over a month ago, and it's only starting to go viral now because these people, they always have to dig through your past and find anything they can use against you. So let's see the terrible things this guy said. Later, he says, Lopez called movements such as hashtag Believe Women in support of sexual assault survivors as a, quote, dangerous hashtag because people lie, and sometimes those people are women. He said, God forbid you have a son out there and a girl may have felt a certain way about a situation, dismissed, hurt, whatever, and is feeling vengeful and just decides to tell a certain story that's not even exactly true. Come back and hurt that individual. To take women at their word, he told Owens, is incredibly dangerous. And I remember when I found out my wife is pregnant, and I've always wanted a son and was hoping for a son, but then you start to think, well, boy, in today's world, especially if they get into those college years where kids, it's easy to lose your way and engage in behavior that's normal, but now with the way young man behavior that is normal, but now with today's society, the way that you could paint it and put it into a context and make things look, that's incredibly scary if you have a son in today's world. So let's see what else he said. He said, I'm trying to understand it myself, and please don't lump me into that whole group, Lopez responded. I'm kind of blown away too. Look, I'm never one to tell anyone how to parent their kids, and obviously, I think if you come from a place of love, you really can't go wrong. But at the same time, my God, if you're 3 years old and you're saying you're feeling a certain way, or you think you're a boy or a girl or whatever the case may be, I just think it's dangerous as a parent to make this determination. Then, well, okay, you're going to be a boy or a girl, whatever the case may be. It's sort of alarming, and my gosh, I just think about the repercussions later on. He added, when you're a kid, you don't know anything about sexuality yet. You're just a kid. Now, this is a viewpoint. First of all, look at this Latino Chad there. After all these years, he's still looking great. And obviously, based off his comments, he's not the stereotypical weirdo that you think of when you think of a lot of these people. He still has some sort of values. And when you read through his comments, you think, well, there's nothing crazy about that. And this is actually a position that the vast majority of Americans agree with. Most Americans, they would say, well, that's totally reasonable, and that's exactly right. But what happens is you get these small groups of people, these activists, and they're willing to take the chance and put themselves out there and make a lot of noise. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. And what about for the rest of us? Well, most of us want to go along to get along. We don't want any trouble in life. We just want to have our families. We want to have our jobs that we can make money in order to live our lives. Kind of like in that recent video I talked about at the university where my brother's a professor. He's more on the conservative side, and a couple professors are a little bit on the conservative side, but that's not an accepted viewpoint in that world of academia. So they really have to keep their beliefs to themselves. They won't speak up even if they disagree with something. And I'm not saying they should. I'm not telling anyone you should. Actually, what I tell people is you got to be very careful when you put out things, even things like what Lopez said. If you're going to put those publicly out on your social media or you're going to record a video about it, you're going to be very careful, because even if the majority of people agree with you today, well, the culture is changing so much that what's considered normal and acceptable today or right today, 10, 15, 20 years from now, you might be considered a dangerous extremist. So, I mean, think about it. Even like these Hollywood people, none of them were pushing certain agendas in the 50s or 60s because the average people wouldn't have accepted it. But through generations of slowly working it in, the culture's changed a lot. And the culture is not, in America, is not going to get more conservative. It's only going to get more liberal. So those are things that you should consider before going out there, because now, unfortunately, Mario Lopez, there's people trying to end this guy's career when he didn't do anything to anyone. And he's speaking as a father. I know for myself, and I haven't been a father that long, obviously, but if you would have asked me before becoming a father, I didn't really care about a lot of things. I didn't really think about a lot of things. I was becoming spiritual, but I wasn't into religion at all. And then after having my son, my son I had about a half a year ago now, and things shifted so much for me. I didn't expect me to become like this and to have such a change going so quick. And you think about things, well, what's the future world going to be like for our children? You want to leave behind a good culture and a good world for these people to live their lives in and have their families in. And you start to think about things when you see, as a dad, when you see evil things in the world, it really bothers you. Conversely, when you see really good things in the world, you're really happy about that too. So that's a big plus side. But a lot of this stuff, if you're not a parent, maybe you can't really understand the way it changes and shifts your entire perspective. And I said one time, after becoming a father, it flipped my whole world upside down. And then someone they corrected me. They said, you mean it flipped your world upside right? And I think that's exactly right. So I thought this was an interesting news story for you guys. A lot of you guys are probably like me. You probably watched Saved by the Bell as a kid, but didn't really pay attention to this guy much, didn't know much of what he believes. But now we know this guy's not some kind of wacko, and they're trying to ruin him for it. So be careful, my friends out there, and God bless you.